Everybody, and good morning, everybody. My name is Tim Dean. I'm the chair of the Dutchess County IDA, and we're going to start the meeting. The first thing I would ask Jasmine to do would be to take the roll call, please.
Yes, sure. Tim Dean.
Here.
Mark Doyle.
Yes. Yeah.
Kathy Bauer.
Present.
Stacy Lagenthal. Jamie Piccone.
Here.
Don Sagliano.
Here.
Al Torjani.
Here.
Okay, thank you. I just want to remind everybody of our conflict of interest policy. If there is anybody on the board who has a conflict about anything that we're going to be discussing, I would ask that you bring that forward now if you are aware of one.
This is Kathy Bauer, one of the managing members of Arlington Development. Arthur May Development is a customer of my company and that I have direct contact with.
Okay. Don, is that what we would consider a conflict of interest?
Don Capolino, right?
Don
Yes,
Capolino.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Don,
Don.
I was unmuting. I was is this just a customer of the bank? Is there any kind of direct relationship where you?
Yeah, no, I deal with him. I've golfed with him. So.
Well, I mean, if you feel uncomfortable with it, you can just recuse yourself. So anytime, as soon as we get to that particular matter, you should be leaving the conference.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And if along the way, if anybody discovers a conflict, please let us know and just, tell us what it is, and then we'd be happy to recuse you. Sarah, the proof of meeting notice has been properly posted, I would assume?
yes.
Great. Okay, are there any bills in communication that we need to discuss?
There is not, but I did want to say a couple things about the meeting logistics. I would ask that everyone who is joining us by teleconference to please mute your phone just to improve the audio quality of listening to the meeting. And then also we have with us on the Zoom call the applicant and his party, and so I would ask those joining us representing the applicant, please identify yourself when we come to the part in the when we come to that part in the agenda, to please identify yourself.
Okay, I'll make sure that I give them an opportunity to do that. Okay, are there minutes from a prior meeting that we need to approve?
Yes, there should be minutes as part of your meeting packet, and those are minutes from the Wednesday, May 13th meeting.
Okay, if everybody's had a chance to review those minutes, I would take a motion to accept them.
So moved.
Okay, Mark Doyle has moved. Can I get a second, please?
I'll second.
That would be Al Torjani has seconded. Jasmine, would you please take a vote, roll call vote?
Sorry. Yes, sure. Tim Dean.
Yes.
Mark Doyle.
Yes, approved.
Kathy Bauer.
Approved.
Stacy Lagenthal. Jamie Piccone.
Approved.
Don Sagliano.
Don Sagliano, approved.
Al Torjani.
Approved.
Thank you, everybody. We normally wouldn't have to do that, but since we're on Zoom and teleconference, I just want to make sure for the record that everybody understands who is voting. Marilyn, do you have a report of the treasurer?
This is Marilyn Yerkes. No, I do not have a report this meeting. It's early in the month, a week earlier than we would normally have, so no report this meeting.
Thank you. Unfinished business. I think that's where we come to this discussion, correct? And so Kathy, at this point, Sarah, will there be any other business that we discuss after this?
So, no, and actually I want to make a correction. I'm sorry. It shouldn't, this item, we don't have any unfinished business to
This is-
consider. This item
okay.
should actually been under item 9, new business on the agenda. I'm just
Okay.
noticing that now, so.
But there is no other matters to be discussed
But there,
afterwards?
but there are no other matters to be discussed afterwards.
Okay, so Kathy, at this point, I think you can recuse yourself, and there's no reason that you would need to come back on later in the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Okay, so at this time, I would like to bring up for consideration approval of preliminary resolution for the Arthur May Redevelopment LLC, Town of Poughkeepsie, to induce a project providing for a mortgage tax exemption, sales tax exemption, and a payment in lieu of taxes for an approximately $69,730,000 project for construction and redevelopment at 25 and 31 Raven Avenue, the former Arthur May School. I guess at this time I would like to ask somebody from the team of the applicant to maybe introduce the other members of their team. Who would like to do that?
Sure thing. So I'd be happy to do that. Good morning,
Thank you.
everybody. My name is Jacob Reckess. I am the managing member of the applicant. I want to thank you guys for taking the time this morning to come on a Zoom call and to have the meeting. First, I'll start by introducing from our team. We have Ozzy Reckess is on the call by phone. Our attorney, Richard Cantor, is on with us. John Spreitzer, who helped put together the application on our behalf, is on with us. And I also want to acknowledge and appreciate the town board member, Ann Shershin, is on the phone. And so thank you, Ann, or on video. And from the Arlington Central School District, I want to thank and acknowledge Kevin Sheldon, the Assistant Superintendent for Business, for joining us. So,
Thank you. So the first thing I want to state for the board members is always our desire as a board to make sure that we have adequate time to discuss projects. In this particular instance, we did call a special meeting of the board. The reason for that is because the Arlington School District, who is the current owner of the property, has a deadline of the end of June in order to execute this transaction for it to be given the right status in their budget. And so they, the applicant and them asked us to try and expedite the process. I believe that we have been able to do that to get everybody the information they needed. I just wanted the board to know that that's the reason that we pushed a little bit quicker than our normal process. But if at any point anybody on the board feels that they have not had enough time to digest this between the preliminary resolution and if approved by the final resolution, absolutely, please feel free to speak up at any time. So Sarah, at this point, I'm going to.
Chairman Dean?
Yes.
I think it may be appropriate right now, since none of us are really school district associated people. Perhaps the school district could describe to us why this building that's been empty for several years all of a sudden needs to be moved in such a quick and expedient manner. I think that might be helpful for us from an educational perspective.
Sure, and that would have been discussed, but I don't see any reason why. If Kevin would like to make a comment now, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. From the school district's perspective, we have been negotiating and working on selling the building for quite some time. We've had multiple different thoughts about how to use the money and proceeds from the sales. Now that we have COVID-19, now that we are a little more strapped for our cash, we've actually incorporated this in part of our actual budgeting process. And since June 30th is the end of our fiscal year, in order for us to record it, we need to be able to have those dollars available June 30th so that we can incorporate them into the budgeting process for 2021, which starts July 1st. So yes, it's true. It's been for sale for several years, but we hadn't really built in that factor into our actual budgeting process And this year we were forced to do that.
Kevin, perhaps since we've entered this part of the discussion, perhaps would you mind just talking a little bit about the process of how the district solicited requests for proposals for this parcel?
Yeah, so several years ago, the district put out a request for proposal, and we received proposals from 3 different units or 3 different entities. And this was the first entity had the highest bid, and they dropped out partway through. And Jacob's firm was the second highest bidder, and we've been in negotiations with them ever since that time.
Okay, thank you. I wanted the board to be aware of any process that you went through to select a candidate for this, for where we are now. Okay, Sarah, I'm going to ask you to sort of kick off the introduction of the project.
Sure. So today we are considering the Arthur May Redevelopment LLC. They are coming in front of the board this morning to request approval for sales tax exemptions, mortgage tax exemptions, and a deviated pilot on this project. The project, as we've discussed, is located on the former site of the Arthur S. May School in the town of Poughkeepsie. Arthur May Redevelopment proposes to demolish the existing structures on the property and then redevelop the former school site into a mixed-use development, which will include 187 new rental residential units, approximately 18,000 square feet of commercial space, and a hotel. This project will return onto the tax rolls a property that is currently off the tax rolls, as Kevin stated, is owned by the school district and has been in possession of the school district for over 95 years. So, it is returning a property that's not been on the town's tax rolls for quite a bit. With that, they do also have the support of the school district and the town for the deviated pilot. And it's to promote a walkable community in that business district. The town created a district called the Anchor District zoning, and Jacob can speak a little bit more about that, but this is consistent with that and in line with that, and they've been working very closely with the town on that project. So with that, I'd like to pass that on to Jacob. And Jacob, if you'd like to talk a little bit more in detail about the project, the process.
Sure. Yeah, so I appreciate that. And Kevin, again, thank you for being here and explaining the process. And really maybe that's a good place to start is I think we want to acknowledge and share gratitude for all of the community agencies, boards, and municipality who've really worked collaboratively through this whole process. I think that when we first submitted the bid, we knew that it was a central location within the town. We had not yet fully developed the concept of what we wanted it to be, and as local residents, I'm originally from the town of Poughkeepsie, born and raised. Our main office is still in the town of Poughkeepsie. We viewed this as a community building project. So we have been involved in this for quite a while. It's been about 4 years. The first thing that we did when we got involved in the project is we sat down, we met with the town, we met with the county, we met with the school district, and we said, what do you guys want? And if what you guys want matches the vision with what we believe this can be, and we believe it can be sustainable, then we'll proceed. And I think the feedback that we got was consistent, that this is a unique property right in the heart of the Arlington Business Improvement District, right in the heart of the Arlington Town Center. The school had shut down operations there and moved to about half a mile down the road to what's now called the Arthur May School. So the name is still being honored locally. And the desire was to build an infill project that will create and enhance the Arlington Town Center. When we heard and to do so in a market rate fashion. we got excited about the idea of helping to take a property that has not generated any tax dollars or any dollars to any of the municipalities for over 95 years, bring it back on the tax rolls. We got excited about the idea of creating a downtown walkable neighborhood in the Arlington Town Center. I've shared this with anybody that will listen, that the Arlington Town Center is really my favorite place to bring friends from out of town. It always has been. There's great assets in that neighborhood. When you walk around Vassar College and there's a few shops and restaurants, as you walk north, the development stops, there's a gap, and then you cross the arterial and there's more development. This was an opportunity to connect the bridge, to connect the gap, and to create a downtown walkable neighborhood where people can live, eat, work, and play. So we spent quite a bit of time designing a project that brings properties along Raymond Avenue, creates that walkable connectivity, adds market rate, attractive new construction housing to this market, which is in high demand, and brings the projects and brings the property back onto the tax rolls. I really can't stress enough. I mean, this project has taken longer than we wanted to, but I think our approach throughout has been that we wanted to do it in concert with everyone. So, you know, again, I just want to thank the town and school district and county planning has been involved. And we look at this as a win-win to enhance the town of Poughkeepsie. As Sarah mentioned, the only other piece I'll mention, just as a vote of confidence on that, in order to build the project, you know, ironically, it was a former school, but the zoning had changed. And so the property was not even zoned. You couldn't even turn it into a school. So we had to take a deep look at the zoning, and we worked with the town, and new zoning was created for the town of Poughkeepsie to enable projects like this that would catalyze other investment. And I think the objective here is that by completing this project, this parcel gets built up and improved, and all the other parcels around it will say, oh, maybe this is a great place to invest. That's the idea. If, you know, a new tie means you need a new shirt, and then you get a new shirt, and now you need new pants. And so when you go in there with one big investment, it should hopefully catalyze for further investment in the Arlington Town Center. So yeah, we genuinely appreciate you considering this. This is obviously an important component to make the project happen. And thank you.
Before we open up the floor for questions, I would like to ask Ann if she would like to comment as a town council member about this project. And perhaps you could comment to the extent that you can, and maybe Jacob could as well. This pilot is extended for a longer time period than normal. Are you comfortable that the need is there for them to do that as opposed to the normal shorter term?
Okay. Well, first of all, I'd like to say that the town of Poughkeepsie, I am on the 6th Ward Town Council person of the town of Poughkeepsie, and also on the Arlington Business Improvement District Board. And we totally support this project. The town board voted 100%, all 7 members in favor of the pilot that Jacob put forth. And the Arlington Business Improvement District has been very supportive of it. They also feel that this project is going to really help get us out of a COVID-19 world. That by bringing in construction workers, it'll support the surrounding restaurants and bring people into the area quickly to start using the businesses and help them come around and get back up to speed again. So, and also yes, it'll be a walkable community. Vassar has expressed some interest in having apartments in there for their professors. They are currently planning on taking down their Williams faculty housing, and we'll be looking for more apartments in the future too. And this will truly be a walkable situation where they can walk 2 blocks down the road and get to work. So there'll be fewer cars going in and out, and I think it's definitely is a very good fit. And this is what we wanted. This is what the businesses in the area that they wanted a high density of a considerable number of people living right there, working as a unit with the surrounding businesses. Now, you're talking about the pilot. I mean, the pilot, I believe, is 25 years.
Yes.
Is that what you're asking about?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we're comfortable with the length of pilot. It's not that different than some of the other pilots we've done, because most of them run like 20, 25 years. And like I said, all 7 of us voted in favor of it.
Okay.
Can I add?
Yes.
So,
Go
Dan,
ahead.
thank you so much. So just one point of clarity, when I'm very grateful for everything Ann said, I agree with everything. From a technical perspective, we're asking for a 20-year pilot that may be rolled out in as long as 25 years, depending on when the construction would happen. So I always have to go back, and it's probably my fault for the confusion of the presentation. It's not about the content, it's about the presentation.
Yeah.
That we were trying to be overly conservative in the original plan and say, you know, what happens if we don't build out by X date or Y date? And so we showed a schedule over 25 years. It is our, prior to COVID and subject to COVID and what that may do to us, it is our hope and intent to build out as fast as possible and soon, immediately. On the entire project. And so then what we did is we revised our presentation so that it shows it's 20 years, but because we had previously shown a 25-year schedule, we kept in the presentation numbers 25 full years worth of numbers, just so that people could look at apples to apples.
Sure.
Thank you, Ann.
I'm going to ask if there's other members of the board that have questions, if they could just say their name so that I know to call on them. I can't see everybody at once on my screen, so I'm going to open up the floor to questions from the board. Okay, I have a couple of
Chairman,
I'm sorry.
Chairman Dean? Okay, it sounds like
Go ahead.
Mark first.
Mark?
Yes. So I'm just wondering about the mechanism for changing or modifying the pilot length, when that would be brought into place. And so sort of who makes the decision whether what level of what level to decline to when in this process. I understand the delayed, the delay start, but what is the decision-making process to get to 20 years as opposed to 25?
Sure.
I will. Sarah,
Okay.
do you want to answer that, or do you want somebody else to?
I think Jacob could answer that a little bit better, but it is currently as written, it's a project that will be done over 5 phases. And so the idea, and again, Jacob probably, I'll turn this over to Jacob, but the way the phasing will be done may impact whether this will be truly 5 phases or less than that.
Yeah, and so to try and simplify the concept, it's one pilot, which, as Sarah said, may get built out in phases, but mechanically speaking, there are 5 phases defined, and each phase has already been in the presentation and in the proposal has an allocated dollar amount, so that when phase 1 comes online, everybody knows in advance we're paying X dollars. When phase 2 comes online, everybody knows in advance we're paying Y dollars, and so on.
So it's your desire to start as many phases as possible immediately? Is that the idea?
That is the idea. That's our intent.
Okay. Okay. Mark, did that answer your question?
No, I think that's good. So if in the case there were 2 phases happening simultaneously, you'd simply combine the numbers.
Exactly.
Don Sagliano.
Yes. When reviewing the packet here, where we're supposed to sign project evaluation of projects requesting IDA benefits, on page 8, it talks about the total cost of the project. And it says that the total project costs are $69,730,000. Private investment is 80. It speaks that the construction costs are $55,504,259. And then equipment, it's got $29 million. So just don't know what the delta is between the construction and equipment of $84,504,259 and a project cost of $69,730,000. About a $15 million difference when evaluating these numbers. Since this is an IDA document, this is the application, I'm not able to open the application up on my computer. I just thought that maybe somebody could speak to the numbers.
So yeah, so Don, so in there, the applicant has the equipment cost is the sales taxable equipment, and that some of that equipment is actually in their construction costs. So there's an overlap between the construction cost and equipment.
So Sarah, the total project cost of $69,730,000 is not the sum total between the construction cost below and the equipment. There's
Correct.
an overlap, is that right?
There's an overlap. So the 29 million is the figure that's used to calculate their sales tax benefit.
Don, did that clarify things for you?
Yeah, I'm just, Sarah just sent me another copy of the meeting packet, so I will,
Okay.
and, the next few minutes.
Sure. I have a question for you, and maybe Kevin can elaborate on this. What is the estimate of the number of children that you think that this would bring into the district? And would the cost to the school district of those children, would there be shortfalls during the pilot program?
I'll turn over to Kevin about the cost to the school district. What I will share more generally is I don't have it off the top of my head, but that was part of our submission for seeker about how many protected school children we would have. I'll note that all of the units are 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms, which traditionally have a lower impact of school children on the district. And that was factored in. I could find the specific number, but Kevin, do you have I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, I don't have the specific number of students. Dr. Lyons typically is the individual in our organization that would be responsible for making those types of decisions. I don't think that he has expressed any concern that we would be able to handle the number of increasing students, because as you know, you may not know that the district's been under a enrollment decrease for quite some time, and partly the reason why this building is now available is because of that enrollment decrease over the last, I guess, almost decade. So, unless the district goes through a significant, and by that I mean thousands and thousands of children, we have space that we'll be able to either reorganize within the current buildings that we have, or we'll be able to just to absorb them in the existing configuration that we have now. But there's significant overcapacity across the 11 school buildings that still remain.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'd like to weigh in on this too. There's also another phenomenon.
Can you introduce yourself?
Oh, hi. Yeah, Ann Shershin, Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie. Anyways, we've also been seeing another phenomenon with these developments coming into the town, and specifically Eastdale, that we're seeing a lot of seniors who are interested in staying here but no longer wish to have their houses. So they've been selling their smaller houses and moving into these apartments, and families have been buying these houses. So it is bringing some families, but it's also spread totally across the town and other school districts too. So it's not like we're going to see a cluster of children in these apartments. And as Jacob said, 1 and 2 bedrooms are not that attractive for families. So we're expecting a very small number, maybe a mother with a single child, maybe, but we're expecting a very small number actually coming into this development.
Good. I think that's, that really reinforces that this would be additive to the school district's revenues as opposed to costing. This is going back on the tax rolls, and the cost of, there won't be a huge increase in cost for student education. Any other board members have questions about this project?
Yeah, I do. Chairman Dean, Don Sagliano.
Go ahead, Don.
I'm reviewing the 47-page packet. Thank you, Sarah, for forwarding it to me. That has the preliminary site plan. The question is that since there is a significant need in the Arlington Business District area, is there going to be any available public parking for non-tenants or residents or users of the particular complex? Has there been any consideration to allowing outside parking availability in order for visitors to the Raymond Avenue area to be able to safely park their vehicles? Because I know that there's a significant need for parking in that area of the town.
I would add on to that just as a follow-up so it could be answered all at once. I noticed there is a commercial component to this, and so what is the planning for adequate parking for the visitors to the commercial aspects of this if there will be car traffic?
And just so that people on the phone know that the last speaker was Tim Dean, the chairman. I
apologize, yes.
Yeah, so I appreciate both of those questions. Parking is something that we've...
Jacob, can you introduce yourself before?
Sorry, I forgot, apologize. Jacob Reckess from the applicant. I appreciate that question, and parking has been something that we have been talking about, thinking about, and looking at since the beginning. What I can share is that the parking layout is designed to meet the code of local town zoning, and the parking is designed for the project. That being said, and I will also add that we've gone through a seeker review inclusive of reviewing whether there's enough parking for the residential and the commercial uses, and we passed the seeker review that there was sufficient parking. We are a local family-run organization. We know that there are some other locations on the street that have shut down their parking lot to outsiders. That, what I can share is that is not our style or intent. I believe that this community will be effective when everybody helps out. So if the question is, are we going to be looking to tow people who want to park on our property when there's spaces available, that would not be our intent. I hope that answers the question.
Don, do you have any follow-up? Don Sagliano, do you have any follow-up questions?
Yeah, Don Sagliano, that really wasn't the spirit of the question. Spirit of the question was, is there going to be a commercial parking lot that will be available for use for the Raymond Avenue area? Not saying that you're gonna tow people or you're gonna do whatever that may entail. It's very hard when you're looking at a schematically drawn sketch here that has proposed buildings and it has circles and squares. I'm not a land use engineer. I'm just trying to ask a simple, John Q. Public type question and trying to, understand this, because I know there's other governmental agency owned buildings that have recently took shop there that have limited parking. And I know that it's been a significant concern, and I'm sure Council Member Sher is fully aware of all the impacts that have been, situated on Raymond Avenue, which is a very, very important and vital area of the town of Poughkeepsie. So that I'm just bringing that out. And this is a preliminary, I guess this was a preliminary site plan. Has the full site plan been evaluated, or the chicken's got to come before the egg would be the next question I would be asking upon that.
Yeah, so I apologize. Good questions. The direct answers are The parking is designed for this property. It's not a commercial public parking facility. That was not part of the design. The full site plan has been reviewed by the town planning board and has received conditional site plan approval.
Tim Dean, follow up to that. So for the commercial aspects of the property, will there be parking set aside for people, or is there an anticipation that there will be people driving to those commercial uses, and is there parking allocated for them in addition to your residential tenants?
The parking is at this time, none of the spaces are specifically reserved for one use or another use. So the entire parking on the entire site is flexible parking, with the exception of the spaces under the residential buildings in the back, which will be used by the residential uses. There is, in the presentation to the town planning board, we incorporated a concept that there's an expectation that the commercial uses will use the parking during certain times, and the hotel and residential will use it at other times. And I know that that was part of the application, but I guess the direct answers are parking was designed for the site to meet the code and was reviewed by the town planning board and approved by the town planning board.
Thank you.
And the last speaker was Jacob Reckess.
Yeah, sorry again.
Don Sagliano, did you have a follow-up question?
Don Sagliano here. No, the only comment I wanted to make was to thank Jacob for the response to my question.
Okay. Is there any other questions from the board?
Tim, please just remember to announce yourself.
Tim Dean, Chair. Is there any other questions from the board? I just want to call the board's attention to page 20 of this application, where it talks about the baseline requirements for the project from our standpoint, and it does say it must achieve all of these. And if you'll note some of the additional community benefits that are talked about in item B on that page. It is a distress census tract. It is in a business improvement district. It's currently tax exempt and vacant. And amongst a few other things, it's going to be an energy efficient project. So it does seem to address some of the things that we focus on as beneficial to the community. Hearing no other requests for follow-up, what I would like to ask, if there's a member of the board who would like to make a motion to accept preliminary approval of this, so the next steps can begin, including a public hearing, after which we would reconvene again for final approval, if that's the will of the board. So is there any board member who would like to make a motion to accept preliminary approval of this project as outlined?
This is Mark Doyle.
Yes, Mark.
I'd like to make a motion to accept for preliminary approval the motion as outlined by Tim Dean.
Okay, can I get a second from any board member?
Jamie Piccone will second.
Thank you, Jamie. Okay, Jasmine, could you please take a roll call vote?
Yes, sure. Tim Dean,
In favor?
Mark Doyle,
Yes, approved.
Kathy Bauer, Stacy Lagenthal, Jamie Piccone,
In favor.
Don Sagliano,
Don Sagliano in favor.
Al Torjani.
It appears that Al stepped away, but, oh, Al, you're on mute.
I didn't hear Sarah. Can you give me that again?
So Jasmine was doing the roll call for,
For the preliminary approval of this project.
Oh, that's for the preliminary, oh, that's approved. Sorry.
Yes, thank you.
that's Al Torgiani that just said that.
Okay, thank you very much. So the preliminary is approved. We will, Sher, you want to talk about next steps that will take place for this?
Yes, so this is Sarah Lee. The next steps for this will be the public hearing. The public hearing will be held within the next few weeks. And then once the public hearing is held, we will convene another meeting to consider the final approving resolution on the project. Given the applicant's timing and deadline to close at the end of the month, that the final meeting will occur before the end of this month.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. And we look forward to hearing how the project moves along through the hearing, and we'll hopefully see you for a final approval decision before the end of the month.
Thank you, everybody.
You're welcome. Is there anything else, Sarah, that we need to discuss today?
Nope, that is, this is Sarah. No, this is complete for today.
Okay, at this point, I will consider the meeting adjourned. Everybody have a great day.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Goodbye.